Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back to JOECMDRAWZ, welcome back to a new video. In this new video, I'm going to be showing off the latest member to join the Goldilocks Pirates, the cabin boy Tonga. Let's get into it. Okay everybody, I just want to take a step back from that final design that you saw at the beginning, and I want to take you back to my initial concept for Tonga, or Songa, however you want to pronounce it. I haven't decided yet, maybe you guys can help, but here is my really rough initial kind of sketches in my first draft for my design. I knew initially I wanted him to be kind of like a hybrid kind of a fishman, and him to have like a giant crab claw something instead of an arm. I don't know what is my obsession with kind of having missing limbs or different kind of limbs, or kind of like this juxtaposition, or this kind of not having the same of one thing, one normal arm and one missing arm or whatever. I don't know, I just think it's really fascinating and makes for a kind of cool like I said, juxtaposition with the character design. But anyway, this was my first initial design. Now I knew I wanted him to be a fisherman, I just didn't know what type, and so I was trying different things. And so here's some really rough initial designs here. Trying to figure out kind of a pose, maybe he has this little yellow sash belt and this kind of tank top and these little cut-off jeans, and he has a big crab claw. I'm not really sure what it was doing with the hair here. Just kind of trying to figure out what I was actually doing, but I got these little ears here because I know that Jinbei has these kind of little ears. Here's a smaller version where I was trying to does he even need a tank top? Does he even need it? And then he can show off more of the anatomy. But these are some really rough initial sketches, and I also had some really roughed in kind of sandals here. After that, I went straight into different sketches. Here I've had kind of little fins on the end here. As I was messing around with his eye shape, and maybe I want him to have some kind of pointing up teeth, kind of like Jinbei, or some other kind of whale shark kind of fisherman in the One Piece universe. Here I kind of changed his proportions to make him a little bit more like a kid. In the other one he looks a little bit more adolescent, maybe he's 15, 16 here. But in these other ones here, he looks a little bit more like a 10-year-old, which would fit him more in terms of how old Shanks and Buggy were when they were on Roger's ship, because I believe they were about 9 or 10 when they were on Roger's ship, and so I wanted Tonga to be more like that. But those are some more initial sketches, still trying to figure out what I was doing, because I was struggling a lot with this design. I know what I wanted to do, I just didn't know how to go about doing it. Next up here is more kind of exploration, trying to figure out what I want for the character. I changed his nose shape here. I gave him a kind of shell necklace here. As I was trying okay, maybe go back to these little pointed ears. Do I want him to have short hair? Do I want him to have this almost long hair, kind of if you've ever seen N's design from Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2. He has that kind of long hair. That's kind of how I was imagining it. And I've also changed his little belt sash here, giving him a little bit more detail to make his design not so boring. So he's got these little bandages that are wrapped around him there, and he's got these little tattoos maybe that he's gotten. A little rebellious. I've also changed up the dynamic of his face here as well. Changed up his eye shape, and then also given these kind of lips here. Just trying different things with the design just to see what I like and what I don't like. Next up here, oops, let's see, yeah. Here is where I get into more of the refined design. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do here. It's consistent throughout the initial sketches. Here is where I reached a stage where I was okay, now I'm kind of really liking the design. Do I want him to have a spear? Do I want him to have things? At this point I kind of almost dropped the crab claw because I thought it wasn't working, and so I went back to kind of just regular hands, except here I gave him these cut off jean shorts, which I think were really cool. And I still kept this. I went back to giving him this white tank top with the blue stripes, and I think at this point I settled on him having these fins on the side of his head. which is really cool, and this like really scruffy, spiky kind of like hair at the top, which I think looked really good. And I was also pretty happy with his proportions here as well. But something still didn't feel right to me here. I kind of like almost dropped the yellow like sash belt. And I was really happy with this design for a while, but I couldn't figure out how to take it further. I did another design here, which is the one that you saw on the community tab a while ago that I posted, that I was working on a new member. Here I kind of changed the cut-off jean shorts to like these kind of almost long cut-off jeans almost. They don't reach the bottom of his feet, but they almost do. And I've given him like these thick sandals now. He's still got the tank top. He's still got everything else that's, you know, the same. He's got these like bandages on his arm, as well as like the tattoos. And then here I've given him like a little like cutlass, little sword that maybe he might have to use to fight. Since he doesn't have like a devil fruit, or he doesn't have that much power yet, considering he's still a cabin boy. I feel like they would teach him hockey, but for the time being, while he's learning hockey, he would be using weapons like spears, or he'll be using like little cutlasses or knives to kind of like help out on the crew. Here is a little bit more of a refined piece, which I was happy with for a while. You know, I was happy with the line quality, I was happy with his expression and the colours. And at this point I'd like settled on, okay, well, I like the colours, I like his stance, you know, but something just didn't sit right with me, and I left it for quite a while actually. Thinking that, you know, how else can I take it to the next level? You know, I was happy but wasn't satisfied with the design. So after that, I left it for a while, and then I came back to it. Here I did like another kind of like illustration. Here I changed his necklace to more of like almost like, what do you call it, those like ones with like shark teeth on it. Like one of them that I thought maybe his mother could have given him, or she could have worn. Here I tried like nice lighting scenario, like he's like lit from the side or something. And at this point I also kind of ditched the sandals, because I'll be honest, I didn't really want to draw them. I thought they were annoying, and I didn't really like drawing them, so I kind of got rid of them. I also gave him like this tattered sash belt, which I think is really cool. I think the reason why he wears this sash belt is because he's a massive fan of Monkey D. Luffy. You know, hearing his exploits in the newspapers, you know, like thrown out by what do you call him, Morgan. He reads about his exploits while on the Goldilocks pirate ship, and he really enjoys Luffy's energy and what he's doing, and so he wanted to kind of almost dress like him, and so he's wearing like these cut-off jean kind of short pants, kind of how Luffy has the shorts, and he also has the yellow sash belt that Luffy wore, I believe, was it in the Dressrosa / Whole Cake Island arc, or was it Saburi? Someone remind me. But yeah, I was really happy with that, and I really liked the way that it was looking. And I changed the eyes again, giving like these kind of little lashes, but I still wasn't happy with it. And so I left it for a while, and then I came back to it, and I thought, right, I'm gonna finish this design. You know, you guys waited too long. You know, I've been teasing this for a while. I need to put something out. I need to finish this design and move on to the next one. And so here I did like another design here, just going over an initial sketch that I did, which I was actually kind of happy with. You know, it's got this. It's rough, but I was happy with it. It was conveying the energy that I wanted. You know, he's this almost like between like a 10-year-old and a teenager, so I'm thinking he's maybe in the middle, like maybe like 12-year-old or something. And he's got this kind of slender physique. You know, this kind of like slumped, shruggish attitude, which I liked. And then I left it again, and I came back to it a few days ago, and I was like, right, I'm not happy with it. How else can I take it in a different direction? And I came to this illustration, which, you know, it's rough, but I really liked it, and I kind of did a full circle and came back to the kind of crab claw idea, because I was like, that's a really cool idea. I want him to have something unique that sets him apart from other fishermen. And so I thought he could be kind of like, he has a mutation that had him form this crab claw on his arm, maybe from his father. You know, that might have been like a crab fisherman. on one side of his arm, and so he's kind of almost disabled, which has him interact uniquely with the world, and maybe he can use it to his advantage, like imbuing it with armament haki, or even advanced armament haki when he learns it, and he can just absolutely rip ships asunder and cut people's heads off and cut swords and stuff when it's buffed by the haki, which I think is really cool. So this is the direction I was going in. Next after that, here's like a final kind of like sketch idea that I did, which I was finally so satisfied with. It had all the same kind of like elements that I wanted from the previous sketches, you know, for the sash belt, the pants, the kind of like bandages and tattoos on his arm, the kind of like pearl necklaces, the tank top, and the crab arm, which I finally felt comfortable with how it was interacting with the rest of his design. I also changed his hair as well, from if you saw on that other sketch there, that really rough one, to this more like cut mohawk, which I think works much better for his silhouette rather than the other one, which was just like a messy scribble. And so this gives him a little bit more of a unique appearance amongst the other characters that I've designed, which is really cool. And I also, again, missed off the sandals because I just didn't think it fit his character. He's like a rough and tumble kind of like badass kid that doesn't take any crap from anybody, and he uses his giant kind of crab claw to teach people a lesson, like cut their hands off or cut their arms off or something, or even cut their heads off, which I think is really cool. Next here I did like a more refined sketch with another pencil brush that I have, and this is when I was like, okay, yeah, this is the final design that I'm going for. I also changed his sash belt here to more of like a big kind of waist high sash belt. I still don't know whether the little one here that kind of hangs down is better, or whether the one here that hangs to the side is better. I don't know. Yeah, you guys let me know. I also changed his pants up a little bit from being tattered at the bottom to kind of these big, almost baggy pants, kind of almost like the ones that Shanks wears. And Shanks was also a big inspiration for kind of like how Tonga dresses as well, which is really nice. So that's kind of like where I was at the time. And here is like one of the final designs, which I was finally so happy with. You know, I wanted to go for more of like a manga look, like if he was drawn in the One Piece manga. And so I have cool details here, like using a chalk brush to get kind of like that dark gradient up from his claw, and the lines are nice and thick, and I was really happy with it. But I wanted to, I got these like new manga kind of like Photoshop brushes, and I wanted to try them out, and so I did like another pass over it, and I'm actually even more happy with this one than I am with this one, which I think looks really good. I like both of them, but what do you guys think? Do you prefer this one, or do you prefer this one, which has a little bit more of a manga feel? I did do a little title card here that I saw, because I saw in the latest One Piece chapter where they were introducing like the devil fruits for the Blackbeard pirates, and so I wanted to have like one of them, like an introductory kind of manga chapter or panel for Tonga, and so like you're introducing the new member to the crew, and it's like Cabin Boy Tonga. So I wanted to kind of copy that, which looks really cool. I do have color versions of both of these guys. If I just, I think it's the other one. Let me have a look at that. Yeah, here. I've got a color version here, which I do like, but honestly, I actually prefer the black and white kind of almost manga version rather than the color version. Even though I like the color version a lot, I think I still prefer the manga version, like the black and white version, just because I think it looks a lot better. So that's basically kind of like the journey of this character design. And it went up a roller coaster, and it went basically in a big circle. And here I've got like a black background, and if I add in the stroke here, it kind of highlights him here, so it looks even more like a manga panel, which I really like. And I added like a kind of watercolor paper texture to him there as well, which looks really nice. So that's pretty much the entire kind of a story of this kind of character design, which and I'm finally at a point where I'm really happy with it. So that's where I'm at right now. I have a time lapse of me inking this character, and that's where I'll tell you the backstory for Tonga and how he joined the Goldilocks Pirates. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you about Tonga's backstory and how he came in contact with the Goldilocks Pirates. So Tonga is a half-human, half-fisherman hybrid. Now, he was born to a prostitute named Kara in the East Blue. Now, Tonga, when he was born, his appearance made him an outcast in the village where he lived. He was ostracized and ridiculed by the villagers. They would throw rocks and sticks, and sometimes they would even physically beat him and bar him from buying any kind of any food or any kind of anything from him, just because of him being a fisherman, and due to not only being him a fisherman but also having his claw deformity made him even more of a freak to them. And so they would ostracize him from the village, and he would be ridiculed by them as well. Despite this, Tonga, grows up determined to prove himself and make something out of his life. He doesn't want to be held back or held down by his race or by his hybridization. He doesn't want to feel sorry for himself. He wants to pull himself out of feeling pathetic for himself, and he wants to make something out of his life. As a young adult, Tonga sets out to join a pirate crew, as he feels like that would be the easiest way to get strong really, really quickly, and as well as make a lot of money, as he hears about pirates in the papers that get dropped on their village, how the exploits of the Straw Hat Pirates and their exploits, and that's where his kind of admiration for Monkey D. Luffy comes from, and so he wants to make something out of himself and become a great pirate, hoping to find a place where he can belong. He is not very well accepted, as there's still a lot of racism towards fishermen in the One Piece world, isn't there? So, however, he is rejected by pretty much nearly every crew he meets. They see him as an unholy abomination and just a liability. He doesn't really offer them anything that they don't already have, and so like I said, they find him like an abomination and a liability. So he feels extremely dejected and hurt, and he tried his best. He tried pretty much nearly every pirate crew that came through. He even tried to join the Marines at one point, but because of racism, they don't want him, and because of his claw deformity, they also don't want him, as they feel like he wouldn't be able to keep up, and they just don't want him. So he feels quite dejected and quite alone. Now, Tonga returns to his village, after trying, on the outskirts for a while. And this is at this point where the Goldilocks Pirates arrive. At the time, they need to stock up for supplies, and they just want to chill out for a while after sailing for quite a while. So he just thinks, I'll give it one more shot, I'll give it one more bash, I'll ask these guys, and if not, I'll just go back to trying to help my mother. But to his surprise, the crew actually sees potential in Tonga. See, they haven't got a fisherman on the crew yet, and they see his claw as some massive potential, especially when it comes to hockey. And he begs and pleads with them, saying, he'll work really hard as a cabin boy, he'll do anything they ask him, he wants to get stronger to protect his mother, all that kind of stuff. He wants to make as much money as possible, he wants to become strong like they are. And so Captain Goldilocks sees potential in Tonga, as well as the other crew members, and they offer him the position as a cabin boy. And he's very, very happy with that, and he instantly agrees. So he's overjoyed, and he's finally found a crew where he's accepted, and he sets out to prove, that he's worth the crew. He tells his mother, and she encourages him. This way, she isn't earning for two mouths to feed. She can only earn for herself. So he spends a couple of years with the Goldilocks Pirates. When they actually eventually kind of circle back round at some point and come back to the village for supplies, and Tonga is there, he's grown a little bit more, he's gotten a little bit more beefy, and he's started to learn hockey. Tonga's mother is killed by the celestial dragons, who are actually there at the time. They were sailing around, and they saw that she was a lowly prostitute and an easy target for their kind of malicious attacks. And because they're the celestial dragons, they can do pretty much whatever the fuck they want. And so they basically kill her in cold blood right in front of him. And they were all laughing, and no one did anything to help her. No one stepped up to stop the celestial dragons. No one did anything to say that it was wrong. They were all too afraid of them. And of course, she's the freak that has the hybrid son, and so they didn't really help and just let it happen. And so he is absolutely devastated by his mother's death, and he feels helpless and even alone. Even among his new crewmates, he feels completely alone. However, he's even more shocked to learn that as his mother's dying in front of him, he has a younger sister named Mariana. And she was born as like a more mermaid type, again by another fisherman, and this time she has more of like a mermaid appearance, as she's the only kind of like prostitute that would actually take on fisherman clients. And so she again got pregnant and had Mariana, who is more of a mermaid. And when the celestial dragons are sailing through and they see this potential of this mermaid slave, they basically kill the mother and they kidnap the mermaid daughter. And because obviously celestial dragons love mermaids, as we've seen with the slave auction on Sabadi, that's where they're going to be taking her. They love making a profit and torturing these mermaids, these poor mermaids. And so Tonga begs the Goldilocks pirates to help him rescue his sister Mariana, and they agree to help him. And so he joins back up with the crew, and they set sail for Sabadi Archipelago to the slave auction to potentially save Mariana. Unfortunately, by the time they get there, she's been sold off to a celestial dragon up in Marishwa, and they don't know this at the time, but unfortunately, the poor girl has been murdered by the celestial dragon. She was used as a plaything and tossed aside and overworked and used to the point where she was just killed and tossed aside. So see, Tonga doesn't know this, and neither does the rest of the crew. But he's on his way to go to the slave auction, like I said, but it's already too late. And so, in his personal story, he will eventually find this out and become enraged by the celestial dragons, and then also the rest of the crew will join him in his rage, as they also, with their backstories, hate authority figures, and they also hate the celestial dragons as well as marines, as the marines never really did anything to stop these guys because they also answer to them, and so they never really did anything to stop them. And so Tonga's, his whole journey will be getting revenge on the celestial dragons and killing every single one of them, knowing that his precious younger sister that he barely ever got to meet because he was away for a little while was taken from him. And so that's his backstory, and he's got a lot of motivation, and I think it's a really heart-wrenching story, and also really good motivation for him to hate the celestial dragons, for him to become a really powerful pirate, as well as make a lot of money for. Even though the village that he lived in was terrible to him, he still wants to make a lot of money, so anybody else, any other prostitutes that are there, or any other fishermen there don't suffer the same fate. And so he wants to be kind of like the champion for this village that he lived in. So that's Tonga's backstory, and I hope you found it quite interesting. It took me a while to write that, and I think it's one of the stronger ones amongst the Goldilocks pirates. But yeah, that's his backstory. I'll shut up now, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of the inking. And there we have it, the cabin boy of the Goldilocks Pirates, Tonga. The half-human, half-fisherman hybrid cabin boy of the Goldilocks Pirates. His backstory, his relation to the crew, and all that good stuff. So if you did like this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, all the cool YouTube stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you later. Bye!